From Carolla One Studios in Glendale, California, this is The Adam Carolla Show. Adam's guest today, from The Green Ghost and the Masters of the Stone, Danny Trejo and Charlie Clark. Plus comedian Leo Flowers, with Gina Grad on news and Bald Brian on sound effects. And now, honored that Ketanji Brown Jackson swore herself in on the Carolla family Bible, Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No shows are going to mandate you get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. We love that about you, right, Gina Grad?
That's right.
Handball, Brian. I hooked up with a dude in college.
Oh, boy.
All right. So, it's weird. I happen to notice things maybe sometimes early, and then they bug me, and then I drill down on them, and then I think about them a lot. And then at some point I forget about them. And then at some point society changes 10, 20 years later. And then I go back to thinking about why I was stuck on one thing.
Society
for a long
pats
time.
itself on the back, calls you a heretic. And then what happens?
Well, this is kind of interesting. So, I've been really drilling down on the thing where people kind of go, this could have happened. And then I kept going, but it didn't. You know what I mean? A lot of it's January 6th, like these guys armed, insurrection, all that kind of stuff. Okay, but nobody had a gun and nobody was shot and something happened. But whatever it is you're painting didn't, people could have been killed and it's a lot of could have been, or, this person did this to me and this could have happened, but it's like, but it didn't.
Right.
And it's a dangerous zone as a society to go, this could have happened. It's back to sort of chick think. Sorry, Gina.
Sure.
But if you remember, like any father will know, if you say my 9-year-old daughter and her friends, like if you say to your wife, my daughter, her daughter and the 9-year-old friends, they wanted to walk to go get froyo, but I said no. You were going to let him walk to get froyo? Like, no. I said no. It was something that was going to happen, and then it didn't because I said no. You know what could have happened to them if they walked to get froyo? It's a weird sort of hypothetical in the future. It's a future badness that never happened because we kind of stopped.
Yeah, we nipped it in the bud.
But we're kind of going on as if, he was going to let, Many, many years ago when I was pulling in, I should say, or onto the Hollywood Center Studios lot, where we first started Loveline, MTV's Loveline, many years ago. Even the audition was there. And then later, we did the Man Show there and Loveline there. So that was like the only lot I worked off of for many years. I was getting onto the lot. There's just one gate. And the gate, at some point, if it's 9:30 or 10 in the morning, the line of people trying to get onto that lot will back up onto the street. It'll be 10, 15 cars long. Now, what's happening is 92% of people in that line have a key card or an ID, a laminated ID, and they wave it at the guy. The gate may not go down for 6 cars because everyone's just waving this thing.
Through.
But not the guy in the front of the line. He's dropping off an edible arrangeable, and he doesn't have his ID. And they want to know what the name of the guy is. And it all stops, and it just spills out into the street. So thinking, well, I'm already running late because what I used to do is I would do Loveline at night in Culver City, get back to the Hollywood Hills house at 12:30, go to bed at 2. And I didn't roll into the office at 9 with everyone else. I rolled in at 10:30. But it was always like, where's Adam? Where is he? And so I came, the usual running late move. And so I did this move. I pulled all around the guys who were on the way in, and I pulled to the way out.
Oh, yeah.
Now, there's no line or waiting on the way out because it was 10:15 in the morning and no one's leaving. So I did the move where I held up the car and I was like, can you just fucking pop this one open and let me scoot through? No can do.
No, that's a violation.
That's not doable. So I go, okay, fine. So I do this move where I'm driving a Mini Cooper with a manual shift.
Was it hard coming out to your parents?
This was Let's be clear here,
Okay,
Gina.
sure.
There are many different varieties of Mini Cooper.
Yellow, light blue, pink.
There is 6-speed manual versus automatic.
Okay.
That's a tell there for the parents. There is the naturally aspirated, 120 horsepower slow box versus the supercharged version, which I had.
Buddy, I've seen the Italian job.
Yes, there's convertible versus coupe, hardtop. And then there is your, sapphire flower orange or bright yellow versus the gunmetal gray.
Ah.
Mine was gunmetal gray with a black roof.
So he's a top.
No.
I get it.
6-speed and everything. I had the straight version of the Mini Cooper.
Okay.
So I do this move where I pull the push in the clutch, pull the shift over, throw it in reverse, and as I'm starting to let out the clutch, I'm throwing my right hand over the passenger seat and craning my head over, and I immediately see there's a guy standing right behind the car. Now, not on the sidewalk. The driveway goes in 10 feet from the sidewalk. He's just standing, walking kind of right up against the bumper. I immediately apply the brake, come where I don't make contact with him, but it startles him.
Yeah.
I then he's going to talk to the guy in the guard shack. He then looks at me and gives me the what the fuck.
That's a close call, man.
Yeah.
The by the way, the what the fuck, when you're driving, like I said, I don't mind the bird out the window as much as I mind the what's going on here. That thing where you're pulling out of a driveway and there's a big cube truck parked on the street and you can't quite see around it, so you're like inching out and then someone zooms by and gives you what the fuck.
The fuck. You can see it.
This the fuck. I don't
Well
travel with a second guy who's got a cone and a flashlight who goes out into the street and checks and see if His Highness is coming down the street. I slowly inch out, and if I see somebody, I stop, and then you drive past me. That shouldn't. I was walking with a friend up through the hills of Malibu last weekend, and a guy was like coming down the street, and he was moving pretty good. And you ever have that move where you're kind of walking up a side windy street and you're sort of in the middle because the street's not that wide, and you have to kind of make a choice. If someone's coming at you, you go right or you go left. Well, I went one way and the person went the other one. We kind of split it, and the guy kind of drove past us and gave us a make up your mind kind of move.
As though this is a coordinated thing you do. Your parents.
You're doing Red Rover.
Yeah.
You're speeding on a downhill up on a windy street in the hills. Don't be that freaked out or confused. But what's
put out.
Yeah,
what's
or
the meaning of this?
You're the one in the car.
It's a place where people walk their dogs and walk all the time. Just don't be that put off by it.
Yeah.
So this guy gives me the what the fuck, and I do that, but I always do. Sorry. Oh, but he was not done.
No.
So he went to the and I backed it out, and then he looked at me again with the what's going on in my life look. This is like 2000. I gave him the wave one more time. Sorry, it's on me. And got in the back of the line. Of course, when I got to the front of the line in the guard shack, he was still there.
Uh-oh.
And we had to have a conversation.
You need his edible arrangement.
And he goes, hey man, you almost hit me. And I said, yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't see you. Doubles back again.
And that was that.
You almost hit me.
Yeah.
That was a close one. And I go, yeah, I know. I was just trying to save time, and I didn't see you back there. And he goes, that, you could have hit. And I said, but I didn't. What, does that count for anything anymore?
Should count for everything.
Or are we just playing horseshoes and hand grenades? Like, it didn't. So shut the fuck up. And I just kept thinking about, like, where are we when a dude, like an able-bodied 35-year-old dude, is still fucking nursing this shit 20 minutes after it happened, and a thing that never happened. So It's a kind of, I was drilling down on it at the time, and I remember going, this isn't a good sign where things that didn't happen, we've just sort of converted into did happen, minus any of the injuries or the contact, but which is all the outrage.
All the punitive
of this.
damages.
God, I hope this guy was claimed by AIDS by now. All right, so Gina was walking through her neighborhood.
Well, a much nicer neighborhood, Toluca Lake.
Oh,
So any neighborhood?
someone else's neighborhood.
Yeah, that's why it was nice. And Andy and I went to lunch at this lovely little sushi place in Toluca Lake the other day, and I thought, this is the valley? There should be a tent here or there, or certainly a cluster encampment somewhere. Oh, no, they don't play that shit in the nice part of the valley. In fact, they took a proactive approach, and go ahead and put up the picture. Instead of just saying, we'd prefer you don't sleep under this bridge, they fence everything off underneath the overpass.
Right.
So you literally can't camp there.
Can't access it.
No, on both sides, on all underpasses.
Yeah.
And I thought,
This is the solution?
that was a cheap and easy solution for something that seems to be a problem.
Yeah. I mean, but Brian's right when he sounds like an elderly Jewish woman.
This is the solution?
Yes. Sadly, it's basically people in Los Angeles and in many other big cities have essentially become seagulls. Mm-hmm. We can't talk to them about not shitting on signs out front of the seafood place. We have to put up spike strips so they won't land on it.
Hostile architecture.
Hostile. The skateboarder who refuses to stop doing the grinders on the bench,
right,
or the cement in front of the library. We just have to put speed bumps on them now. Like we're now
notches.
At a point. Or we can't figure out what's going on with gangbangers and graffiti. We can't stop it, so we have to put barbed wire on freeway signs. Like we're now at the point with the populace where we can no longer communicate or convince them. We just have to start putting shit up.
Yeah.
Which is a sad state of affairs, but effective.
Hostile architecture.
Yeah,
right.
and it, people felt safe walking out there. All of our cars are parked under there, and that's something that I wasn't going to be too keen on. You said people shitting in the street. I don't know if it's worth or we have the time to put this up. This was happening. I'm sending to Ben right now. Yeah,
I'll buy a minute.
Great.
Brian, how far, speaking of hostile architecture, a lot of these houses and nice neighborhoods and Beverly Hills and stuff getting broken into, how long before we just get back to the moat?
That'd be great.
Yeah. Crocodiles floating around in there, drawbridge, like turrets up top, guys with boiling lead. Like, we're just kind of going back to medieval times.
Yeah,
now.
I was in Beverly Hills just before I got here, and there's a lot more really nice fences up, gates up around people's houses than I remember. It's not open yards anymore.
We but businesses started putting big planter boxes out front so people could eat outdoors without homeless people bivouacking.
The tough thing in my neighborhood, a couple of blocks away, is I'm close to Westwood Boulevard, right? And there's no access to any garages or any driveways off of actual Westwood Boulevard. There's a big alley that runs parallel, right? Mm-hmm. All the houses on Westwood Boulevard have an alley in back where you can access garages, driveways, whatever. But that alley provides cover for thieves, you know what I mean? For vandals or whatever.
Yeah.
So you see a lot of people getting broke in through the alley.
Yes.
Because that's again, it provides cover.
Yeah. Well, if you want to see what's going on in Hollywood right now, because I know none of us at this point in our lives live in Hollywood, and I think we all did for many, many years. It seems, Chris didn't get it either. I'll just tell you. You know why? Because God is trying to stop me from showing this to you. There is
Big tech, man.
what I'm assuming homeless gentleman, possible drug addict, taking a shit in front of my friend's apartment in Hollywood. Out in the broad daylight.
Yeah, Hollywood is a little Times Square-y in that it had its heyday. Man, I mean, you see those films where the guy just rolls the camera in a Buick in 1949 and just heads down Sunset.
Yes, exactly.
Clean. Everyone's wearing a jacket, a
suit,
tie, and
a hat.
Yes, right.
hat and a bonnet and
Ladies
stuff.
got umbrellas.
And then it started to fall apart in the 80s, and it got really weird and dicey to a certain point. And then there was some resurrection. It was, Jimmy Kimmel and the El
Hollywood
Capitan
Highland.
Theater and Hollywood Highland had a big movie. And then it starts falling apart again. Here's what I'm saying. Everyone, I'll speak to Brian. He's a homeowner.
Let's hear it.
And all homeowners.
Homos.
Put the homo and homeowner.
When you walk outside your house and you see that the fascia boards that adorn your house are starting to fade a little and get a little bleached out, go ahead and scuff them, put a new coat of primer and paint on them. Do it then. Do we have to wait until it's
Until it's an
bubbling,
eyesore.
Falling apart.
until the wood is all riddled with termites, and we have to do a fucking teardown of all the fascia? Do we have to get there? Or like when you're doing Hollywood, 7 years ago when we start heading down the backside of the hill, could somebody just pipe up and go, "Hey, let's
Take care of
nip
this
this
now."
one in the bud"?
Not
Yes.
that he has to be the spokesperson, because I'm sure he has enough on his plate. But when you mentioned Jimmy, it'd be interesting if he did a little campaign to clean up his office. He's the one that has to work on that street.
Yeah, he is right up there, and
Right in the middle.
yeah, right in the middle. Yes, right.
There's another parallel to be drawn between your house example, which is 100%. Nothing will get you to do shit to your domicile, like owning it, and also Hollywood. It's a very transient city. You know what I mean? People are there. I don't mean transient like homeless. I just mean people come from all over the world to make it big or not.
Or go home.
Yeah, rent for
Yeah.
a little while, see if they can strike it rich, and then
Right.
or not. And there's a transient nature to Hollywood the same way with renting an apartment, I suppose.
We're lacking community pride because who's going to stay? It's a good point.
All right, now on to something that I just reminded of as I was working on my audio book with Dawson, who's an excellent producer, I will say. You're doing a lot of books, right,
It's
Dawson?
his thing, man.
Yeah, I've read and produced like 23 now.
Jesus.
And I'm currently working on 3 different ones.
Read and produce, or read and or produce, like Adam.
Read and produced. Oh, the number is over 30 with the 6 I've done with you. Or
Wow.
I've done 5 with you. I didn't do in 50 years.
Does he make you stop and do it again? Does he crack
He's
the
a
whip?
taskmaster.
He knows the inflection. He gives a good read on it. He's quite skilled academically,
I
not
bet.
just sonically. But something was reminded me of it, and I always think about it. Maybe even Dawson can find it. Take him a second. I don't know, page 125 or something. We're talking about pronouns, and it's like I'll give my pronoun. My name is Adam Carolla, and he, him, his, I guess is it. But we're good at he, right?
He, him, yeah.
He, him.
Or whatever, yeah, whatever the iteration
Once
is.
we do he, aren't we?
It lays it
Aren't
all
we
out.
done?
Yeah.
Who's driven me insane for 25 years, which is tampering with disabling, or tampering. Tampering, disabling, or destroying the smoke detector in the lavatory by every flight now. It's like
Yeah.
just tampering. We're now done.
We'll cover all bases.
He, we're done it.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
done at he.
Yeah.
We have they. Do we have them?
Yeah.
Now you're just showing
in the
off that you know
signature?
how to conjugate.
I think we can figure out through your first one, unless it's something very exotic, what the rest shall be.
Does anyone do like, hi, I'm Gina, she, they? Is that why?
That's what I'm saying. Like, how many Ricky Hendersons are there throwing left and batting right?
I don't know.
Gina,
But
text me
overall,
that.
okay, yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see if we can find that little stanza. Dawson will
He's
comb
looking.
through it. We also have liked tweets
Oh, yeah.
and just things that people send me that I put the little heart by because it either reminds me of something or I'm either for it or against it or I want to complain about it. We haven't done it in a while, but I think we have an intro.
Here's the tweets he liked. He didn't reply because he cannot type. Here's the tweets he liked. Send him by you to piss him off all day and all night. Here's the tweets he liked.
All right, so while Dawson's looking for that, I'll run over some of these tweets. So one of them, Adam, Mark Cuban's been trending a lot, and they sent you this too. He's going up against Big Pharma. I don't know if you've seen this,
Yep.
but he has the...
Oh, yeah, he's trying to do like an app or something that
Like
will
nails,
circumvent.
yeah.
Right, yeah. So he's selling drugs. He found a way to sell drugs at a much more affordable cost.
You know what's simultaneously a good thing and a bad thing as far as the title goes? A disruptor.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure,
Cuban's
yeah.
a disruptor,
Yeah.
and then there's my buddy Ray,
Yeah, that's
Mr.
right.
Bernal's class, like lighting a huge fart off in the middle of study
Disrupting.
time.
Not
you know?
exactly Silicon Valley
They're
material.
both
Disruptors.
Yeah,
disruptors.
you're right.
Yeah. that's a
Yeah,
good point.
so that's what happened. Billionaire Mark Cuban launched a war against Big Pharma. Recently started an online pharmacy where over 100 life-saving medications are offered at low cost. He charges a standard 15% markup in an industry that typically sees no less than 100% of a markup. In just one example, a life-saving leukemia drug with a typical retail price of $9,657 is offered by Mark for a total of $47. Insurance is not accepted due to the fact that it would force him to work with manufacturers requiring certain price points.
Yeah,
the
there's no
company
reason
is costplusdrugs.com.
Oh,
great.
He's got the title Mark Down right on the table. He's Mark Cuban, Mark Down.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Next,
come
he'll
on,
come for the
Cuban.
sandwiches.
Yeah.
That would imply, though, that it's of a lesser quality. I think he wants to get away from that.
Yeah, you do the-
Markdown. Get yourself some markdown drugs.
They have everything on here. I mean, there's 4 whole columns full of stuff that I'm very interested. As a Jew, I'd like to go shopping.
Look up Ursa Dial and tell me the price,
How do you
because
spell
I'm in the U, Ursa Dial.
Okay.
Because I am, it's one of Dag's children.
one of Dag's
Dag's kids. I'm on it, and it's not cheap.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not
Does
seeing
insurance
that as
pay
an
for
option.
it?
Yeah, they cover. I mean, it would be $500, and it's like $75, but $75 is not nothing.
Do you have Dag's names? I know we played one
do, yeah.
maybe yesterday, but
I got a couple.
I got a couple.
O'Brien, $16.50
Ooh, may have to hit up Mark
for a
Cuban.
30 count.
Nice. That's a month's supply.
Leave it to death row.
Yeah, so a lot of people are saying, they're tweeting Elon saying, this is how billionaires should act.
Leave it to death row.
Yeah, so he's a big hero.
Look up
online.
Leaving a Gesture.
Extra dyro. Extra dyro.
That's all I got.
Yeah, this thing about here's how billionaires need to act. First off, billionaires create a lot of jobs. So that's number one. Mark Cuban, how many humans is he gainfully employed versus
Innumerable.
cunt number 7 on LA County's, commission of whatever, who by the way, not only creates 0 jobs, takes money.
Yeah.
Motion to change my title.
Yeah.
Shut up, cunt number 7.
Or whatever, school teachers,
I know.
whatever. You fucking people get paid by the fucking taxes that Cuban pays, and I should say, who Elon Musk pays, and Cuban or whatever. So they create a lot of jobs and they pay a lot in taxes. If you want to know, all right, and then maybe at some point they spend time on a yacht, but that's what they're doing. The lion's share of what they do is they create a lot of jobs and they pay a lot of taxes. And then if you want to just, versus a guy taking a shit in front of your friend's apartment.
Yeah.
Okay, those are the 2 extremes. So I would like more of these people,
Which
the
ones?
Elon
Yeah,
Musks of the
same.
world, who create tons of jobs and pay tons of taxes.
Well, and also you think of the Tesla and probably space travel, space tourism when we get there. In his own way, he is bringing down the cost of things. I mean, he's bringing down the cost of electric cars because
Yes.
we're all getting used to them. It's not just for the rich now.
Yes. All right. Sorry. Do you have another one there, Chris?
Yeah, another one. This is a tweet that I sent to you. There's a new term called trans autistic.
What? I didn't get the memo.
Yeah, so it was tweeted at him. It refers to someone who wants to become autistic.
Oh, my.
It can also be used to describe someone who feels they should become autistic.
You can jump off your roof.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, trans autistic individuals are not necessarily allistic. They can be physi-autistic people.
Elastic?
I think they tried to say autistic there, but they misspelled.
Oh,
okay.
interesting.
Yeah.
Autistic.
Okay, they can be physio-autistics, people who want to acquire another form of autism. In opposition, a cis-autistic individual is someone who doesn't want to become autistic and or doesn't feel they should become autistic. And
Are we just making up words now
Yes,
and then explaining
yes.
them to everyone who
Yes.
was older than 19?
Because-
What this word means?
Queerpedia says it's a transabled identity.
Okay. I think when everybody got hip to Temple Grandin, and that's where a lot of us learned what autism is and Asperger's and all that kind of stuff, and she's the one who came up with that great way to
Cows.
Yeah,
I think about that all the time.
to
When I
get
see
cattle,
lines to get
right.
tickets or lines to get on
That's
a
right.
ride.
Oh, I don't know that story.
Oh,
Tell
okay.
us.
So she and Brian helped me out here, and I think Claire Danes played her in a movie.
Yeah, it
but
was an
I just
HBO
remember
movie.
her from like the '80s on
Oh,
Phil
really?
Donahue.
I never heard of her until the
Oh,
movie.
I was totally hip to her as a child. So basically, she's an architect and she has autism, and she found a way to get cattle through the line to get slaughtered,
basically.
so they weren't as like anxious. Like, so there's a way they couldn't see around the corners. It wasn't as scary, whatever. It was more efficient.
If the cattle were, if my recollection, if they were like in a pen, they get really anxious and whatever. But she devised basically, the lines at Disneyland.
It's exactly that.
Yeah, if you're doing that or at the airport or whatever, you're less anxious because you feel like you're moving. Basically.
Moving.
Well done.
So thank
Well
you.
done.
So that was the first time I'd ever heard of autism or Asperger's, and I think, and people talk about Rain Man and how whatever. This was our two forays into
Touchstones,
autism,
yeah.
but now it is like autistic people are really, really good at a lot of stuff. Really much smarter than the normies over here because we don't access that part of our brain or whatever.
Yeah. I think they also maybe have the ability to single things out and drill down on them for a longer period of time. Then, hey, I have Asperger's.
The superheroes
Come on,
among us.
Don't confuse me.
I do get them confused.
I'm on the spectrum, so don't confuse me.
Have you guys seen Love on the Spectrum?
Yeah, it's fucking fantastic.
It's adorable.
There's too many dating shows out there. Is it?
Not like this one.
No, this is like a special needs
Is
one,
this
and
British
it's
or
very
Australian or something?
British, I think.
Yeah.
It's very sweet.
people with syndromes
Yes,
finding
yes.
Yeah.
other people with syndromes?
Yes.
Pretty much.
Yes. They're very sweet.
What's it on?
It's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's a British show that came over here, so I guess Netfllix.
Yeah.
I've seen the spots. I'm
It's
sure it's
really,
moving.
it's heartwarming.
It's like, with all these other dating
And
shows,
heartbreaking.
it's about being clever and these people are just like, hello, I like your shirt. I like yours. Would you like to go to dinner? Okay. It's just very sweet.
Listen, I with all the new verbiage and the pronouns and everything, I could use a little more sling blade in my life.
I was gonna say, if you're weary of the world and the state of the world, this will restore some faith.
It actually does.
It's one of the most genuine things you'll ever see.
Dawson, did you find that stanza?
Yes.
All right.
Speaking of sports and gender, I had to laugh recently when I got an email from Sonny's school. The note was about COVID protocols or something like that, but at the bottom, under the administrator's name, it listed his pronouns: he, him, his. First off, you had me at he. I can do the math on him and his. Does anyone list he as the main pronoun, but then her, or even confusingly their after that? No one is ever going to say, what does he want for her birthday? I don't know what to get they.
It's good.
Well said.
It has a little end on the Spartans, which I like as well.
But the thing that made me laugh was a quarter inch below the virtue signaling pronoun breakdown. It said, home of the Spartans. The Spartans. The most vicious all-male fighting force in history. I've seen 300. Gerard Butler didn't need to declare his pronouns. You couldn't get further from the concept of pronoun announcements, but it's all just shortened to pronouncements than the Spartans.
All right.
Can I put one little bow on this?
Yes.
We always talk about the octagon to the hand washers. My
Yes,
favorite
safe
example,
spaces and octagons.
right? My
Yes.
favorite example right now, and I don't know who's going to be hip to this. The Cody Brown, the Sister Wives show that it exists,
Okay, sure.
and they're religious, and they're Latter-day Saints, they're fundamentalist Mormon. And I don't think they like to be confused. And they have all the wives and all the tradition. Well, one of their daughters, Mary's daughter Mariah, is now Leon.
Oh.
And it's really fun to watch the family adjust because I don't think that they thought that was going to happen.
Yeah, and they must screw it up all the time. Ask her, ask him, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's see. Danny Trejo is ready, so we can talk to him in a second. First, I'll tell you about BetterHelp. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Well, maybe people are a little burned out and they don't even know it. It's not just about work. It's about our roles in life. It can burn us out. So many people are wearing so many different hats these days. You got to talk to someone. BetterHelp wants to remind you to prioritize yourself. Talk with someone to figure out what's causing the stress in your life. And oh man, this used to be, something that certain people did, but I think as we move off of the farm and into the cubicles, everyone needs a little better help. Customized online therapy, offering video, phone, even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. More affordable than in-person therapy. Get matched with a therapist in under 48 hours, right, Dawson?
Adam Carolla Show listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/Carolla. That's betterhelp.com/CAROLLA.
All right, our old friend Danny Trejo is zooming in right after this.
It's time for Nicaraguan Name That Movie with Adam's buddy Oswaldo. See if you can guess which movie this famous line is from.
The one constant throw all the year, Ray Ash Bang Baseball.
If you said Field of Dreams,
The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball.
you're correct. Now, back to the show.
Danny Trejo is joining us via Zoom. The movie Green Ghost and the Monsters of the Stone is available now on VOD. And Danny's been in a million films, but I recommend his doc. Was it Prisoner Number One? Was it?
Inmate number one.
Oh, Inmate number one. Yeah. Where can we find that? I watched it and was just riveted by it.
That's on all Amazon, Showtime, and everything. I just wrote a book called My Life of Crime, Redemption in Hollywood.
Yeah. Well, nobody's more suited to pen such a tome. A tome probably wasn't thrown around in the joint that often. Wow, there it is. Trejo, wow. Is it out or is it coming out?
Yeah. Number two on, what do you call that?
New York bestseller.
Oh, yeah, New York bestseller.
Can we talk to that guy?
Does that mean it only sold in New York?
No.
It's a compliment for sure.
And how's the Trejo's Tacos doing?
Hey, we're doing good. That's still going. We just opened up a new one downtown, a donut shop, and so they're going good.
Those donuts are insane.
Did you always have the entrepreneurial spirit, but you were focused toward the wrong business line when you were young, or is this something that just sort of gradually crept up on you?
Everything good that has happened to me has happened as a direct result of helping someone else. I got into the restaurant business, helping a director with a movie that he needed somebody, a name on, and I met a producer named Ash Shaw who saw that I like good food, so kind of said, "Why don't you open a restaurant?" Jokingly, I said Trejo's Tacos, and he brought me a business plan, and it didn't have anybody killed on the first page, so I gave it to my agent.
What is the
She said it was a good deal.
What is the best soft taco you guys do?
Well, you know what? It's like my favorite is carnitas and also the Baja fish taco, and we have a cauliflower taco that won like best selling in Los Angeles or best tasting or won some kind of award.
There's a New York Times best-selling taco. I'm looking down here, and I'm intrigued by this, but you can tell me. You like carne asada, it says on the screen, but Chris also wrote you like to do suicides, which I never thought about that in the taco realm. When I was a kid, you do the Pepsi and the Sprite, you put it all Mountain Dew and put it all, make one big shitty drink out of it. But a taco suicide, I could see.
Well, anything you can put anything you want in a taco. That's what makes them so good. I mean, I remember on some days when my grandma, when we didn't have like money, you would just roll up a hot dog in a taco. I thought I didn't know hot dogs came in a bun till I was about 7 years old. Roll it up in a tortilla and it's a hot dog.
Yeah, I had a Mexican guy named Frank make me a taco out of cactus that his wife hacked up from the hills of Burbank. Not good. I should
remember
say
that. Hey, I used to live in Burbank. I used to live at 29 East Palm in 1949.
You've been in the valley. You and I have basically been in the valley our entire lives. So you started out in San Fernando, right?
No, I actually started out on Temple Street and then went to Echo Park. No, then went to Burbank, then went to Echo Park. Then I got in trouble and I was sent. They sent me to Texas for 3 years, and I lasted one summer. I didn't want to be no place where you have to shoot mosquitoes with a .22 rifle. You ever seen it? Mosquitoes are that big.
Yeah.
No, I don't. All we have out here, we have these things called crane flies who look exactly like giant mosquitoes.
But they don't hurt anyone, right?
Not physically, but emotionally, they're really disturbing.
Yeah, they have long legs.
If you're ever watching TV at night with the lights off and you see the shadow of one of these things buzz by the screen, and you'll go into full panic. And then
it's kind of Jurassic.
And at some point you flick the light on, it's gone.
Yeah.
And now you have to start the hunt. Is it behind the TV? Like, what the fuck happened? If thing's as big as a pterodactyl, where did it go? And 2 minutes ago, it was just doing a circle pattern over the TV set. Why gone? Why so bashful now? And then you have to find it. And if you don't find it, you shut the lights back off. You sit back down again. Then it goes right past again.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Danny.
Is that the bug assault?
These shoot salt.
Yeah.
These shoot salt, and they're good for any fly mosquito at 20 feet.
It's pump action, shoots like kind of a granular salt.
Ooh.
Does your parole officer know that you have this? And I don't know what the rules are, but
well, as long as they're plastic and don't shoot bullets, you can own them.
All right.
Noted.
How many? You must have
your eggs.
You must have been on parole for some exquisite amount of time after going to the joint, right?
I got out of the pen. I did 5 years the last time, and I had 5 years parole.
When was your parole? Do you have a parole date? Like when someone goes to AA and they announce 10 years of sobriety. Like, do you have a date? Do you celebrate that date? Do you remember what year it was?
August 23rd, 1968.
Oh.
I got sober, and I've stayed sober, and so August 23rd is my sobriety date and also my parole date.
Oh,
Nice.
wow.
Do you chalk up a lot of your behavior to like alcoholism or not being sober back in the day?
I never committed a crime that wasn't drug or alcohol related.
Mm.
Well, I think we've answered my
Is that a
question.
yes?
I'm going with yes on that one.
You know what's really funny? You talked about the spectrum. When I was in Pacoima Junior High School, they put me and 3 other kids in a classroom by ourselves. We were like the bad kids, and we had to stay in this one classroom. And then, by the end of the semester, there was 30 kids in there. And I didn't realize what was going on, but I work with autistic children. And I realized that everybody in that classroom in 1959 was on the spectrum, but nobody knew what autism was. We were just bad kids. And I remember telling my daughter that, I was never on the spectrum. She said, Dad, you are a perfect example of ADD. That's the only reason we used to love to stay with you, because we knew we'd have to stay anywhere for more than 10 minutes. We had to go, whether it was church, anywhere, we're here and let's get out of here, And so we just constantly move. So, but it's like I work with autistic kids and we're doing pretty good. Theo, one of the kids that I work with, he's doing. He got hired. Yeah, but he's not hired. What do you get when you go to a university? He got hired at
Scholarship.
8
He
universities,
accepted.
8 colleges.
Wow.
Wow.
I mean, he got accepted to 8 college. Accepted, yeah, not parole. 8. He got accepted to 8 different colleges. He went to one in Ohio because they have a real good writing. He's an excellent writer.
That's amazing because now that we know how to teach kids that are, different from the majority, they're not stupid, they're not lazy, they're not bad. You're just not teaching them correctly.
Exactly. And you know what? That's the one thing I fear so much is like Sam. Sam is like a big kid. I mean, he's like, probably 300 pounds, 6'1", a big kid, right? And I'm so afraid he can't stand to be touched, and I've been so afraid that he will like come up with some cop that does not know what's going on. And all right, because police, for police, God bless them, but they have to gain control. I have to gain control of the situation. That's the way they're trained. And if you got a kid zoned out on his autistic having a episode, you're not going to gain control unless you bust him in the head. Unless you like approach him. I was downtown and this kid was freaking out. Not a kid, an older guy. And I seen this one cop come up. The other 2 that were there were like getting ready to rush him. And this one was, no, wait. He goes, now come on. No one wants to hurt you. Hey, look, come on. We're just here to help you. And you could see this guy just
relax.
Tone down.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to kiss that guy afterwards. I said, get on, because he was still gaining control, but not the way, not physically.
Yeah, there's a case, and we're going to bring your partner, I was going to say in crime, but I won't say that, Charlie Clark in a second. I just want to say there is a case that Mark Garagos is on, and we won't look at it because it's so gruesome, but it is that shooting, the cop killing out of, I think, maybe Tucson, or I'm trying to think of where it was, somewhere in Arizona. And the guy's basically on his hands and knees in the hall, and the cops keep screaming and escalating and screaming and escalating and then yelling, you're going to get shot, you're going to get shot. And eventually the guy with the gun, the cop, just unloads. It was all because it was crazily escalated. This guy in a T-shirt and basketball trunks crying, laying in the hall, just saying, what do you want me to do? And they all whipped each other up into such a fucking lather that the guy who's like holding his finger on the trigger just hears the word shot. You're going to get shot 5 times by commanding officer, and eventually starts shooting. Yeah. All right.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard to forgive something that happens like that, but it's like the training. You've got to understand that some people, it's like, we have a homeless problem in Los Angeles. They keep calling it homeless because there is no such thing as affordable housing in Los Angeles. That's a myth. Do you understand? So they're not going to do anything with the homeless. They can do stuff with the drug addiction and the mental health. See, but then if they start saying drug addiction and mental health, then that puts it on the state, having to build hospitals, having to build drug
treatment
detoxes.
Facilities. Yeah.
Hey, just
you know what? Some of the people don't even know they're homeless.
Hey, Danny, just for fun, let's say shitbox you grew up in outside of Pacoima back in the day. What do you think that house is over $1 million today?
Are you kidding? Hey, my house, the house that I grew up in, is about $1 million. It's about $1 million. I think my dad bought it for $13,000 or $14,000.
It's crazy.
My house, I bought it 5 years ago. It's worth a lot more than that.
Charlie Clark has joined us. Charlie's
Big Charlie,
co-star of the movie.
I'm on it, Danny. I'm on it.
Charlie, explain how this movie came about.
Well, thank you, Adam.
You wanted to make me a movie star.
I did. My dream was to work for Danny Trejo, and I made it my life's goal to make this movie. I actually I created a TV show back in 2003 called Green Ghost and Mexican, not Mexicant. And it was aired here on the border. It was all in Spanish down in South Texas and the southern tip of Texas in the Rio Grande Valley. It aired from northern Mexico back across the border. And I grew up with a Mexican nanny. About half my lifetime, I got to live in the Mexican barrio with her. And, in a humble place with no AC and a lot of fun and playing with the dogs and going to all the Mexican events and being the only gringo kid there. So I grew up with an appreciation for the culture. And when I started my own business, I wanted to create an alter ego for myself instead of just being a typical car dealership dude, a car guy. I wanted to create a alter ego that would be making fun, in essence, of being the stereotypical gringo superhero and become sort of an anti-hero. That's where the Green Ghost pun came in, and working alongside with Mexican as brotherhood.
I probably didn't know he wasn't Mexican until he was about 18 years old.
That's about right.
I salute you, because car commercials and car dealership commercials today just have a very attractive, well-spoken woman talking about, McKenna BMW in the South Bay. I grew up with insane guys screaming at you with riding a hippopotamus. You know what I mean?
Right.
I didn't.
Yes.
First off, I was 11. I wasn't even close to having a license, and I was like, "This is goddamn entertaining programming right here." We used to have.
I remember that guy.
Yeah.
Cal Worthington.
Go see Cal.
We had
Cal Worthington.
People used to say that to me, like, "You're like Cal Worthington." I was like, "Really? Let me look this guy up." So anyway, I like doing commercials where I made fun of myself, and I did a lot of stuff, and mainly in Spanish, and then also in English. So we produced 30 of these shows locally, and we ended up in the Wall Street Journal on the front page of the marketplace section in 2005. After that, we got some calls from Hollywood, and I went on a search for a production company to actually. I said, why not? Let's make it a movie. I was only going to use local actors and get it out of my system at one point. And when I met Robert Rodriguez's brother, I was like, I'd always dreamed of working with Robert in some way, at least being sort of closely, have some sort of connection to him. And sure enough, I ended up with his brother. And then obviously with Edward James Olmos' son, they had access to Danny and the other actors. And that was a dream of mine to work with Danny. So I was like, wow, if I could somehow get freaking Danny Trejo in my movie, it was a dream come true. So he was the coolest guy to work with, and I was intimidated on the first day. I remember Danny, and I was choking hard. My acting coach slapped me around a little bit.
I wonder.
I used to serious.
Yeah, Danny Trejo. How many guys?
I fell in love with it.
How many guys with the last name Rodriguez are claiming to be Robert Rodriguez's brother? Because I feel about half the San Fernando Valley. It's like, oh yeah, it's my brother. Can I have a blowjob? What's going on with cars right now, Charlie? Is the chip shortage, supply chains, are they backed up? Can I just walk onto your lot and buy a new car? We're going to have to wait?
Well, it's unbelievable, what cars are going for right now. And because of this chip shortage, the problem we have is I've chosen not to be one of those cheesy car dealers that goes up on the price over the MSRP and the additional dealer addendum or markup or market adjusted market value crap. But they're going up $50,000, $100,000 on some cars. There's some cars that bring $150,000 over. You could buy it today from a new car dealer if they didn't go up on the price and flip it in the auction for another $50,000, $100,000 profit. It's the most insane thing. But I believe that bubble, and along with other, I'm watching Elon Musk and others scaling back, saying, the bubble's going to burst at some point, because it's just like, it's not worth that. It's what these cars are bringing. It's insane. And then, you got these car buyers like CarMax and others that don't, some other ones that don't have new car franchises, and they have to buy used cars. So they go out to the auction, they'll pay whatever. They just keep going and going and going until you just give up. It's like, all right, well, I guess I'm not going to buy a car today.
What percentage are you doing? A lot more electric EV cars than you did a couple years ago?
That's funny that you mentioned that. I have the Nissan Leaf, which is 100% electric, right? And I've been pushing this green. I gave away 3 Nissan Leafs when we had the screening of when we first brought the film out in theaters in Texas. We had to register to win a Go Green, Green Go type promotion. And the problem is that, and I'll be honest with you, I think that oil and gas had a lot to do with, keeping that infrastructure sort of smashed. We're lucky that Elon Musk took an interest in the Rio Grande Valley. He built, SpaceX right down the street. Where I have a dealership in Brownsville, there's SpaceX right next door. So he built a Tesla dealership down here. So I'm going, okay, let's go electric. And I have a Hyundai deal too, and a Hyundai dealership in Laredo, and they're really going hard into the electric vehicles. The issue you have there is they're heavier, physically heavier than other vehicles, and so we're gonna have to redo our infrastructure, charging stations. People are petrified of getting out there and oh my God, I'm not going to have a place to charge my car. I'm going to run out of charge, And in South Texas, when you go from the Rio Grande Valley, there's a stretch there when you get up to going towards San Antonio and stuff. It's a good 3-4 hour drive, and people get a little freaked out because there's not a really defined infrastructure there for charging stations. And until we get that and also make sure the roads are ready for it, they say they want to, Biden, everybody's saying 2030, we're going to be all electric. And I don't think so. I don't see that. I wouldn't mind it. I would love it. I would love everything to be electric, honestly.
It's just like our government to be talking about electric cars nonstop for the last 15 years, but not putting the infrastructure to support it. But Brian, you had a question?
I did. I'm ignorant, Charlie. Explain to me how it seems counterintuitive. How is an electric car heavier physically than a
batteries? Sorry.
We have is it heavier than internal combustion engine?
Yes, it is.
I would never guess.
It is. Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that either. But the whole bottom of the car, is actually the battery. It's a couple thousand pounds. Just nuts.
I'm curious, actually, and then maybe
they last about 4 years, and then you spend another $3,000 for a battery.
Maybe Charlie knows, but Chris could look it up too. A Nissan Leaf is a small car. And if it was if it had internal combustion 4-cylinder engine, it may weigh 2,800 pounds, 2,900 pounds, something like that, a car that small. Leaf curb weight is 3,500 pounds, so says Chris, or 3,900 pounds. So if you have a fat passenger, you'll get up to 39.
Sure.
If you got your mother-in-law riding shotgun. So that is heavy for a car that size. So maybe they weigh 20% more.
He's not talking about you, Mom. He's not talking about you.
Or whatever it is. But would you say the whole fleet or all the fleet is going to go electric in the next 10 years, Charlie?
That's what they're saying. Okay. To be honest with you, I think they'll probably get to about 60%, maybe in some franchise. Like Hyundai, they're really pushing it.
Hey, my 1936 Dodge ain't going electric. Neither is my 1956 Chevy Bel Air.
Yeah, we've talked about this with Danny before, those beautiful old cars that used to go up and down. What is it, Ventura?
Van Nuys.
Yeah, we do all that. They're not never going. I got a 65 Buick Riviera that Jay Leno rode in, and he loved it. We're not going electric.
Well, first off, what's he going to say? You know what I mean? Hey, Danny, your car sucks. He's not going to say that. The lowrider, the culture is crazy. The ones that are really done up with the airbrushing are absolutely rolling works of works of art.
You got it.
You probably never get pulled over for speeding, but you probably get pulled over for a lot of other shit in
Noise
that car.
violations.
Yeah.
Hey, I've got a 65 Buick Riviera. They come stock with a 426 engine. We blew that up to a 505, and I got stopped at doing 80 on the Diamond Lane by myself. The police officer, thank God, told me, Trejo, get out of the Diamond Lane and keep it under 80.
You must be able to do whatever you want in Los Angeles, right, Danny? I mean,
yeah.
You know what? I love LA. LA is my town, man. I love Los Angeles. I try to obey the laws, except for when I'm in the 65 Buick Riviera. But, otherwise, we're pretty honest.
how old were you when you got into show business? I've heard this story before, but I just can't remember what age you were.
40 years old.
Wow. So that's a
Well, actually, the first time I was ever on stage, we did the safety play
dance.
The safety play in Elysian Heights Grammar School in the 3rd grade, and my line was, "Get out the way, get out the way." That's what Mr. Siren says. Anyway,
That's what I was thinking of. I just want you to tell the story. I was in the audience that day, Danny, and I recognized greatness. All right, the movie is called Green Ghost and the Mask.
Hey, this movie is so much fun. Let me
It's
tell you,
gotta be.
I had so much fun doing this movie. I play a drunk, and I love it when people say, how do you prepare for a movie? I just, you got like that's a memory. Are you kidding? So we had a blast. I mean, it was like so much fun working with everybody. And I'd worked with Marco before on Machete, and so and he's like a karate kind of guy expert, and. I had a blast. I had a blast working with Charlie, and he's selling me 3 cars right now.
That's right.
It's available on VOD and wherever you find finer movies. Danny Trejo, Charlie Clark, thanks so much for joining us, you guys.
Love you, Charlie. Love you.
Always love you.
I'm calling you.
All right.
Call you, Charlie.
All right. Comedian Leo Flowers is going to join us in a moment. First, I'll tell you about Geico. Love to save some money on your insurance? Of course you would. Who doesn't love a deal when it comes to great rates on insurance for everything? Geico can help insure your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, RV, even homeowners, condo, and renters coverage as well. You can save even more with special discounts when you get your bundle on. Plus, add the easy-to-use Geico mobile app and 24/7 roadside assistance. And, well, switching to Geico is a no-brainer. So, switch and see just how much you could save when you go to Geico. All right. We'll take a quick break. Back with comedian Leo Flowers right after this.
And now, Alcoa presents Definitely Not a Jew on the Adam Carolla Show. Dateline, Duncannon, Pennsylvania. A 38-year-old homeless man was charged with felony theft after he walked out of a convenience store after he underpaid by 43 cents for a bottle of Mountain Dew. Definitely not a Jew.
Leo Flowers, comedian, life coach as well.
Yes, sir.
In the studio, got live dates coming up. The Triple Door in Seattle, Washington, July 29th. Mic Drop Comedy Club in San Diego. I think we're going to go out there at some point. It's up there. Oh, yeah, October 28th, 29th. And a podcast, Before You Kill Yourselves, available wherever you listen to finer podcasts. So let's talk about that for a second, because I know you have a background, at least a master's degree in counseling and psychology.
I do. Yeah. I used to counsel inmates and married couples.
Oh, really?
Any crossover?
I mean, people think it was weird, but it was the same. They both had, the same issues and both wanted out. But it taught me a lot about relationships, and that like everything is a relationship. Whether you're talking about your cellmate or you're talking about your spouse, like it's all the same. And communication, being the key. So I did that for a few years, but I quit because when you're counseling inmates, you start thinking like a criminal after a while, like, because they would tell you like how they break into houses, how they rob banks, how to pickpocket somebody.
That's a good idea.
I like my own plausible deniability.
Yeah. So then I started like walking around looking at people as marks, like, oh yeah, I could definitely lift that wallet off that guy, or she should lock her doors, or her code is XYZ. And I didn't like processing the world like a heist movie.
Well, it could have been worse. You could have been counseling pedophiles. At a certain point, he does have a point there.
Yeah. Start looking at kids.
Go down to the park. I'm going to lunch at the park. I'll be back.
I don't agree, but I understand it.
Oh, that girl's got low self-esteem.
Yeah.
For example.
Well, I kind of feel this way myself. I come from a group of sort of counselors and therapists, and I was very much, the only classes I liked in school or junior college was like psychology classes, and I ended up sort of taking my love of sort of the human condition and psychology and just sort of moving it over to comedy. You can just tweak it a little bit, these observations, these thoughts, these insights, you just tweak it a little bit, and you have a comedy routine.
Yeah, I mean, that's what people want, is they want insights into they want those moments like when you're on stage talking about relationships and they go, me too. Like, I have this joke where I talk about how women want to be felt and not fixed. Because, like, every guy has, does the thing where, like, his girl is complaining about something, and then we immediately try to fix it. And then for some reason, it makes it worse. Like, now she's yelling at us about the thing she was upset about. And then, like, I realize, like, you don't want to fix her situation. You want to feel her. So, like, if she's like, I'm upset about my boss, and I hate my boss, then you say, I hate your boss, too. Like she's like, I hate Becky too. Like you just double down on what she says, and then the tension will dissipate, and then you can go back to watching your game. You know what I mean?
The problem with guy mode, and especially with me, because my background is in building and fixing shit, cars and houses and stuff like that. So these emotional situations they're in with the boss at work, they start getting into Gloria's a cunt, and then you start running for your toolbox. You're like, we gotta fix this cunt.
Yeah, maybe if you tried.
Just nod and just lap it up and soak it in. Because I don't even know that they want it fixed, but I'm treating it like a broken refrigerator, and I'm going right for the fix. And at some point, there's an argument because you're spending all this mechanical time on what you think is a problem. But it's not really a problem. It's a vent session.
It's a vent session. I'm sure you take an improv, Adam, where you play that game called Yes And.
For sure.
Where you just say yes to what they're saying, and then you build on it. Like, I hate him. I want him dead. I want his family dead. Like, you just like exaggerate her emotions. And then she's like, yeah. And then she'll tire herself out, and then you can go back into your garage and hang out.
I would love to say you all can shut the fuck up because you're not female, but in fact, you're 100% right, and I thank you for seeing us.
Right. Some positive mansplaining for a change. The other problem is, and this is my biggest problem, this is why everyone hates me, people do this. I will do it for a male or a female, though. They'll do this thing where like, oh, you know what happened at work? I just walked in, and Becky started screaming at me, just started screaming in my face. And then at some point you go, why? Yeah. And then her answer is always, because she's a bitch.
That would make Becky a clinically insane person.
Yeah, she's not employable at that point. So then at some point you start drilling down on it, and they go, I may have parked in her space and she may be disabled, but that doesn't give it. And then you start getting into, well, you could avoid this by not parking in her handicap.
Why are you always taking Becky's side?
Now you're taking, well, turns out Becky's right half the time.
Oh, yeah. Well, what you want to do, because like when somebody's complaining, it can feel like a terrorist attack, right? Because we get flooded. What people don't understand is men's cortisol levels actually raise faster than women's because it goes back to the hunter-gatherer days. Because we were the hunters, we had to be more on high alert than women, right? And so our cortisol levels slower than women's. And that's why, like, a lot of times in an argument, the guy has to go for a walk. He's like, I'm out of here. And it's just his way of calming down, because when we hunted and killed, we actually calmed down by carrying the game back to the tribe. That was our time to kind of relax and reset. But you don't get that if the threat is, or you feel like the threat is in the house. Where do you go?
You would have been such a great expert witness for the Depp Heard case.
Yeah.
Seriously, because how many times he's like, you gotta leave me alone. I need a break from you. And she's like, no!
My son, when he's in a bad relationship, is going to announce, I'm going to go by the front door and wait for the Grubhub guy until
Clear
you
my
calm
head.
down.
That's my space.
Well, you bring up a good point, because what happens in a relationship is the guy goes, I'm going to go for a walk. And then the woman usually has some type of abandonment issues. And so the guy saying, I'm going to go for a walk, triggers when her dad said he was going for a walk and never came back. Or he went for a walk and, went to the bar or got drunk or,
So it's more of a
whatever.
threat.
It feels like a threat to the woman. So as a guy, what you want to say is, I'm going to go for a walk for 10 minutes. Give her a time. I'm going to walk around a block. Give her like some boundaries. And then she doesn't feel this trigger to say, when I go for a walk, is just to calm down. I'm not leaving you.
And you probably don't leave any homework assignments. Like, I'm going to go for a walk.
When I get
you
back.
figure out, you go find a fucking mirror and figure out what the fuck is staring back at you, okay? I'm going to go for a walk.
You got 10 minutes.
Yeah. Don't leave with
and
any
don't
work.
say I'm out of here. Don't say that. That
Don't
really
say that.
I'm out of here. No, don't say that. Just I'm gonna go calm down, taking some fractals and return.
I was laughing, speaking of leaving and never coming back. I was thinking about this. I've been doing my audio book, so I'm reading pages of my book. Not out yet, but it's
A lot of
things
recovered
stick
memories.
in my head. And I was thinking about the fact that when I was a kid, it was like, what happened to Dad? He went out for a pack of cigarettes. He never came home. And I now realize we treat smokers much worse than deadbeat dads.
Who went out for cigarettes?
Who went out for cigarettes. So now if you said, my dad went out for cigarettes and never came back, be good. You don't need that secondhand smoke floating around the
Kill you.
apartment. We would judge him much more for smoking than we would for abandoning his family. Where did you grow up? What is your backstory?
I grew up in a city with the second best pizza in the world, Chicago.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, first best is in Italy, of course. I mean, if you're
Unless
talking,
you're Brian.
I
Brian
would take
shits all over
the
it.
Chicago pizza. Or I've been to both.
Well, you know what? I went to the small town in Italy. I was performing for the troops over there, and we went to the small town.
We get it. You're
All right.
charitable.
Wait a minute. Who's
And,
troops?
Yeah, right. Who's right?
Could have been Al Qaeda.
That's good.
I know I am growing the beard out kind of long right now. And there was this one restaurant in all of Italy that served deep dish pizza, and it was the best pizza I've
Really?
ever
Wow.
had. And I can't remember the name of the restaurant or the city.
Well, for now, we'll stick
But I
with Lou
think about it,
Malnati's
yeah.
doing the half-frozen
Yes.
shipping.
Yeah, but actually, Detroit style pizza. I just had that. That is
That's just weird.
What is it?
What's the
Why?
What
difference?
is Detroit style?
It's
Square?
deep dish, square, but I think they add the sauce after it comes out of the. They do something different with the sauce.
And isn't it different
It's
cheese?
incredible. But yeah, it's in squares.
Where's the best deep dish in Chicago? Is it Gino's or is it somewhere else?
Well, so for me, it's nostalgic. Every payday, my mom worked at a bank. I grew up like in a Section 8 building in Rogers Park in Chicago. And every payday, Mom would take me and my younger sister to Giordano's. And I would always get the pepperoni pizza. So for me, Giordano's is
The one.
the spot. Yeah, you can't go anywhere else.
Just FYI about Detroit style pizza, because I knew there was something weird about the cheese. And you're right, they put the sauce on last. It's with Wisconsin brick cheese as opposed to mozzarella. I'm sure it's
Good
great.
wrestling name. Wisconsin's own brick cheese has entered the ring.
It looks
Got a
amazing if
big
you're
wheel
high.
over his head. You know, he's going to smash it over a guy's head. Does the cheese cutter, which is a grating type move.
Drives to the Lambeau leaf.
He's going
That's
to
right.
slice you.
Yeah, it looks like lasagna.
So how did you get from the rough and tumble upbringing, Section 8 housing and all that into the wild success we see before us today?
Well, you know what? I grew up in like the best of both worlds on the north side of Chicago. I grew up between two Ivy League schools. Loyola University was maybe 4 or 5 blocks from my house, and then Northwestern was on the other side. So I just saw all backpacks and crackheads growing up.
Right.
So it was like, those were my two options, you know, and I was like, the crackhead, direction didn't look too promising. So I went the backpack route, and I was fortunate to have my mom send me. She pulled us out of public school when I was in 3rd grade and put me in a Catholic school in the 4th grade. Mm-hmm. And that saved my life, hands down, because I had already gotten jumped. I had just got jumped into a gang in the 3rd grade. I didn't even ask to. I was just in the bathroom.
But
the gang members walked in, and they were just like, "You're with us now." And then my mom was like, we got to pull you out of the school and put you into she worked like another job so that, I could do that. But
your mom paid for the private school?
Yeah. My dad, I'm what you call the North Side family, meaning that my dad had me and my mom on the North Side, and then he had his wife and 2 daughters on the South Side.
They were Sox fans. You were Cubs fans.
Yeah. We're all Bulls fans. So he would send money to help out with that. And then, I have come from a very large family. My mom's from Belize, and she has 4 sisters. And I'm sure they contributed on varying levels.
Wow.
So it was a group effort.
Did your dad spend time with you?
I saw him maybe once or twice a year, birthdays or holidays.
And do you know if there was ever any conversation? Did anyone find out about anyone?
My dad, So backstory, my dad, so he married, his wife had 2 daughters. He wanted a son. And this was at a time where guys thought that the woman determined the sex of the baby, right? And so my dad was like, my wife can't give me a boy. So he goes to he literally, it's like a proposition. He goes to my mom and is like, I need a boy. Can you give me a boy? My mom goes, I'll give you a boy. And then I popped out. So my mom from day one knew. Yeah, and never, he took it with him to his grave. His wife never found out. And then at my dad's funeral is when I met my 2 older sisters.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
How was that?
Yeah.
It was everything. It was anger, it was frustration, it was sadness because the family didn't know about me. I'm not in the
obituary.
The obituary, right? And so I just had to kind of sit in the back quietly like I was a visitor,
But you knew about them.
I knew about them, yeah.
But my guess or my assumption always is with a guy like people like your dad, they know who he is too. You know what I mean? Did this come as a huge surprise?
My dad, I think he told 2 people, and they kept his secret because my dad was that guy that everybody he was the leader. He was the pack leader, and so people were very loyal to him because he was from Anniston, Alabama, dropped out of school, was able to buy a house, put his 2 daughters through college, had a Cadillac, and then he took care of the other family members who needed help. So he goes from Anniston, Alabama to Chicago and takes, nobody's going to rat him out,
Wow.
I've tried that my wife can't give me a son line, which is always dubiously accepted because I always ask for a blowjob right after that, and that's when they kind of know.
Yeah.
It's a ruse,
Yeah, it's definitely. I think it's ultimately what killed him, holding that secret. You know what I mean? That's a lot. He literally had heart disease, cancer, he had all the things, and
they say stress is a killer.
It's a killer.
That living in the same town ostensibly.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and running back and forth both sides, but
what
it
was
also
his business.
He he was a longshoreman, and then he also managed a nightclub, and then as he got older, he wanted to work for himself. So at the age of 43, he went back and got his GED.
Damn.
Yeah, like a gangster. Like that's gangster right there. At 43, like I don't like going back for anything, and to go back for algebra is like that's. I mean, hats off to him. You know.
Wow.
So
Your dad's kind of a renaissance-y guy.
Yeah,
He's got
yeah.
a lot of range.
yeah, lots. Like he played golf. He was playing golf with nobody else because that's how he made money in Alabama. He was a caddy. And so, you know, mirror neurons, you know, you're watching people golf, and he was good. He was really good. Yeah.
I tried to get this game show off the ground. Is he black? And we just name
We start to
all
talk
the
about the
shits
guy's
like
life.
he had 2 families. All right. Avid golfer. Oh, hold on
Worked
a
as
second.
a golf caddy.
Longshoreman.
Well, but he also worked at a nightclub.
Oh, okay.
right.
Now
GED.
we're going back.
At 43.
Drove a Cadillac. Okay,
yeah,
Chicago.
yeah.
What year was
You do the
that?
math.
Your dad. We'd have to flip over all the cards.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
We
yeah.
wouldn't know.
Oh, yeah.
He's the leader in the clubhouse of my new game show that's sweeping the nation. Get Leno on the blower. See if we can host this thing.
Yeah. Dad was great, man. And I understood why. I was like, why would my mom even take that deal? You know what I'm saying? And then my mom's from Belize, and there was this huge hurricane that wiped out like 70% of the population. So all the men in Belize had to come to America for work, and that left all these women there. So the ratio of like men to women was like 1 to 10. So my mom grew up in a city basically where there was like, you know, all these women who had multiple fathers, you know, for their kids. And so it was nothing new to her. She was like, yeah, this is how I grew up. You know,
There was no taboo about it.
there was no taboo about it. Everybody, like she has 5 sisters. They all have separate dads.
Wow.
Well, let's talk about that, and we'll circle back to your training, which is, you know, you saw the guys going off to college, and then you saw the junkies, and then you thought, I would like to do a little more of the backpack versus a rig and tying off. So that's what you did. I did that too. I looked around and went, I don't want any of this. Right. Like no air conditioning and food stamps. Like, like I gotta do something other than what these people are doing. Now, the number one excuse that everyone offers up is, well, you know, that's my dad was now, you know, now I'm a, you know, and then he didn't know, and so I didn't know, and it's like, but I feel like you should know because you got a front row seat to it, and there is a 8% of the population who goes, this is where I come from. I ain't getting close to that. You know, maybe it's an Oprah thing or something. And then the other 92% just fall in the footsteps.
Here's the thing, Adam. I almost didn't make it. I really did have that like Boys in the Hood story where I'm a junior in high school and I'm being courted for to get scholarships by colleges. Like I'm like Defensive Player of the Year, all these things. And so I'm on that path of like getting out the hood. And going into my senior year, some of my buddies from my childhood called up. And I say from my childhood because we were best friends since 9, Thanksgiving, Christmas, the holidays. And then there was a point where I could see them getting into gangs and drugs, and I got into football. So then we went separate ways. For years, I hadn't talked to them. And then they just hit me up out the blue like, hey, you want to go for a ride? And I'm like, yeah, like I'm about to leave in a year. These are my boys. And I get in the car. Sure enough, we get pulled over because the rear tail light is out. And then the cop goes, you know, he's like, I can see him running a check. And he goes, this car has been reported carjacked.
Oh, shit.
And so now I'm arrested, right, with my 2 buddies. And I can't prove my innocence. I can't prove that I wasn't there when it happened. I didn't have an alibi. And so we do a lineup and the guy points me out as being one of the guys who carjacks him. And here's why. I put on my buddy's jacket because it was cold. So he recognized the jacket and was like, that guy carjacked me. So now I'm before a judge. I never went to court before, so I only have one suit. It's my prom suit. I wore to junior prom.
Blue tuxedo?
Yeah, no, green. So I'm in court. I'm the only person in court with a suit on. Everybody else is in Tim's and a hoodie. Like, they've been there 10 times. This is my first time. I walk in a prom suit, and I got all these letters from every single teacher saying, speaking of my character and all these things. The judge doesn't give a damn about any of that. the day before my court hearing, I get a letter from Penn State saying they want me for football. It was the first letter I received.
Wow.
And it was the last thing I pulled out. I go, Judge, listen, do not, because I had to plead guilty because I couldn't prove my innocence. So I plead guilty, and I hand him the Penn State letter, and then he goes, if you didn't have this, I would send you to juvenile detention. He goes, I'm going to give you one more shot. You have 700 hours of community service. You have to serve it all over the summer. If you don't serve it all, I'm going to send you to juvie, and then we're never going to see you again. And shout out to the judge in Penn State, because I almost didn't make it here, Adam.
Was Joe Pop coaching at the time? He must have
Was
been.
Jerry Sandusky
It
coaching
was
you?
Sandusky was there.
Because you're a defensive player.
Yeah, I was a defensive player. Sandusky was there, and then and Pop was there. But I ended up going to Ball State in Indiana. They actually, I was too small for Penn State, but on paper I was incredible. But just size wise, I wasn't big enough for the Big Ten.
What position did you play?
Defensive tackle. So I was
Oh, way
275.
too small. Way.
Yeah. I was 275 at the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But just height wise, like, I mean, those guys, like when you get, like people were like, why didn't you go pro? I was like, when you get to the college level and you meet players who are going pro, they're just on a different, you can't train for that. Like they can't, like LeBron James was that out the womb. You know what I'm saying? Like, not to say that he didn't work hard, he didn't train, but there's a genetic aspect of what your abilities are and size-wise.
It's basically the same difference as like the trans athlete who's transitioned 10 minutes ago and is going to go into powerlifting with the ladies. It's that, except for you're one of the chicks, she's a chick, and you just you look at them and you can't bridge that gap.
Yeah.
And in football, it all comes out immediately because they just do a 40 time, then they see how much you can bench and how much you can squat, and it's pretty apparent pretty fast that there's just no competing.
Oh yeah.
And you can go full Rudy, but that you just end up like Rudy. You don't go to the show. Rudy, there's no Rudy Part 2 drafted by the Colts. It was just, that's it. You turn out to be Rudy. So you knew it.
Yeah, I knew it. But you were asking like how do people pick one path versus the other? And I got to be like, I was fortunate to have really great mentors. My mom dated wonderful guys who I still have their their phrasing and their ideas and their philosophies in my head.
Tell us what they did and what their hobbies were, and we'll try to figure out, are they black? That's where the audience cheered.
Are they black?
All right.
So here it is.
One
so
guy.
my mom dated a guy named Ermin, and he was consistent.
Okay. All right. Hold it. Got to write it down.
Okay, Ermin.
And he always wanted a Jaguar. He didn't drive one, but he wanted one. But his license plate said Professor.
Oh.
And so from there, that was the bar for me of like, oh, maybe I want to be a professor, because he always wanted to do that. And I was like, man, I would like to do that as like a nod to Ermin, because he's such a great guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tenured or pimp? The professor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a good question.
Arranged there. Jacket with the suede patches on the sleeves or full mink coat?
Right.
The professor, card player, or like actually lecturing in front of students?
Look no further than the Bishop Don Magic Wand.
Yeah.
He's not actually in the clergy.
Now, Herman would tell me one thing. Ermin.
Mm-hmm.
Did he go like Herm?
Sadly wanting a Jaguar versus getting one from his dad. You know what I mean? That's a different...
Did he call it a Jaguar or a Jaguar?
Oh, I think he added an E at the end.
Get on, Brian.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you a question.
A Jaguar?
What would he say?
Leo, thank you for coming.
Haven't finished his
Oh, yeah,
sentence.
this is so dope.
All right. I know, Brian, where are you coming down?
Well, the Jaguar did it. I'm going black.
Crazy name means could have been a countryman.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I'll go black, but of a different nationality.
Like Dominican?
Yeah.
Like West Indies?
something like that.
Wow, there
Something
you
like
go.
that.
Yeah, he's Belizean.
Oh, come
Okay.
on.
Hey,
right
you got to
there.
play the
Gotta
game.
play.
That's why you have to play. You have to. Stand trying to explain to Leno during my pitch. This is why Should we try the next suitor?
The next one, and it was my football coach.
Okay,
So
hold on,
there you go. So
wait,
you don't know.
wait. Head coach, position, offensive coordination.
Head coach.
Not a skill
High
position
school
guy.
head coach.
Yeah.
Special teams coordinator? Oh, head coach.
But so here's his advice to me. I remember some guys on the team were saying that I was only making the plays I was able to make because I played weak side tackle if I was on the strong side. If you understand football, you know what I mean. But anyway, and I remember going to him being like, they're only saying I'm making the plays because I'm on weak side. And he was like, Flowers, you still got to make the play. And you make the play. And I never forgot that. He's like, it doesn't matter where I put you because you can put people in the right position and they still don't make the play. He goes, you make the play. You execute, you know? So I always remember that.
Did he lead the team in prayer after the game?
That can go a lot of different directions.
That's open to interpretation.
What was his drink? Is it a Courvoisier guy or more of a Bud Lighter?
I give you another clue. Of they call him Twinkle Toes in college.
Okay, skill position.
He was a big guy, actually.
Like calling him tiny.
A fat guy stretch.
There you go. There you go.
Big guy.
Athletic?
Anything else? Hobbies? Like I
Lunch
said.
pail guy or athletic guy?
Athletic.
Okay.
But big athletic. Like, you know, those big dudes who can dunk, and you're like, wow, because they have that calf to Achilles ratio.
Write that down. Yeah.
Not that he can dunk. I don't think.
Okay.
I don't think.
That would have been.
Gym rat or naturally gifted?
I'd say both. Do you want his last name? Because the last name will tell you everything. Karloff.
Oh.
Coach Karloff.
Okay. All right. I'm going
I'm getting
white.
a Friday Night Lights vibe.
Yeah. I gone white.
White all the way.
Yeah.
Was that a good show? I never watched it.
I didn't either. I just saw the movie.
The movie's good.
Yeah.
Oh, the movie's good.
So do you have like 10 more of these? Because we could do a whole season.
I'll give you. I'll give you one more. Let me think. Well, so in college, my first year in college, most of the time when you go in for football,
play the music, Brian.
Where's the music,
play
Brian?
the game.
So my first year in college, we had to do a 3-week camp. Most of the time, football camp's 2 weeks. But it was 3 weeks, and we had 3-a-days. And it was like you had 3 practices a day for 3 weeks, right? You had like maybe a day or 2 off. But anyway, it was rough for me. It was my first time, being away from home, and I couldn't sleep at night. And I asked my coach what to do, and he gave me a Bible.
Oh.
And it was a sports Bible. Oh. And so it was broken down into like layman's terms. And every night I'd be in the bathroom reading Proverbs. And that got me through psychologically. Here's how tough the practice was. Every morning we had to do a head count because one player would quit the team.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, these are guys on full ride scholarships. And you just hear like that bell being rung, and they're like, I'm out of here. I can't handle this. Like grown men crying, 6'5", 320, in tears. And they're like, I'm out of here. Yeah. So every night I'm reading Proverbs. Like, please give me the strength.
All right.
Is it Ball State?
Ball State University, Indiana. Mm-hmm. David Letterman's alma mater.
Oh, no,
actually.
yes. This could go either way with the Bible.
Yeah, it could. I had a coach who, they used to call it Hell Week, but we used to do this pre-training for Hell Week. Like and his big joke was, you work hard enough and Hell Week is only going to be Heck Week.
Good one.
Good.
This was a very coachy kind of humor level that was going on.
Coach joke and dad joke are very aligned.
Yeah, same. The coach is an exaggerated dad.
Yeah. Is it position coach or head coach?
This was head coach. Oh, no. This one is a position coach. He was our linebacker coach. Linebacker coach.
I'm leaning.
I'm kind of out of this.
Inside or outside linebacker? What did he play back in the day?
Oh, that's a great question. This guy was crazy, so I'd have to say
here,
middle.
Gina.
See a
I'd
Mac?
say middle.
See a Mike
That does make a difference.
Mike,
I like
Sam,
where
or
you're
Will?
going.
Run stopper type?
Mike.
Bill Berge type?
Yeah, definitely a run stopper.
Matt Millen type?
More like Junior Seau. Mike Singletary. Yeah.
Singletary does sort of confound things a little bit. Based on the inside backer and the run stopping and the year.
It's true.
I'm going white.
Oh.
Now, do you want the last name?
No, they got to guess
That's an
before we go
unfair
to the last
advantage.
name.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is where we diverge. I'm going to go black.
Oh boy, I got to recuse myself. I don't know anything about football.
He's black. Black
Yes!
man from Alabama.
I knew it.
What was his last name?
Beelan.
Beelan.
Coach
okay.
Beelan.
Coach Beelan.
Oh yeah, and he was. I mean, like dark, and. But
I don't see
Sense of humor?
color, by the
and
way.
here's the thing: I bring up how dark he is because when he got angry, his eyes would turn yellow.
He was
Yeah.
Yeah, like his eyes would
jaundiced?
turn color. Yeah, it was frightening.
That's like
It was frightening.
Thriller.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah.
All right. Well, that concludes that
Oh,
round.
that was the best. What does Leo win?
We
There's no outro music.
That's all we got. This is kind of spontaneous, but I'm gonna get in the writers' room. We'll get Eddie Gordetsky. We'll punch this
it
thing
up.
up before we present it to Leno. I think he's willing to hop on here. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll do the news right after this.
In the news with Grad, news with Gina Grad, breaking viral, weird crime, protest, politics. Give me news with Gina Grad, stuff they saw on TMZ. Joe Biden, Kamala, meet news with Gina Grad.
The news with Gina Grad.
Ketanji Brown Jackson has been sworn in as a Supreme Court justice, making her the first black woman on the highest court. Jackson is a former public defender and federal appeals court judge. A formal ceremony will be held later in the fall, but by swearing her in now, she can start working on tons of different stuff in the meantime. Jackson's nomination was confirmed by the Senate 53-47.
You know her,
yeah.
Leo?
Oh yeah, we go way back. Yeah. We had the same route to school and everything. We held hands.
She went the backpack route.
Yeah. She went
Smart.
the backpack
Clearly.
route. She wasn't always a backpack girl. She had some thug in her, but
really?
she cleaned her act up. I'm proud of her.
And I can't remember, and I brought this up before, I should have looked it up, but somehow, in some way, she's related to Paul Ryan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They're
didn't know that.
by marriage. Because I heard it on a news podcast, but I got to bust out the family tree. They are related.
It used to be you'd aspire, kid, he'll be the president or on the Supreme Court. I don't know if I wouldn't want my kid being on the Supreme Court anymore.
Oh,
It's
anymore?
Not
too
yeah.
much.
I wouldn't worry about that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's funny how
The
like
girl may have a chance.
growing up, people want their kids to be like doctors and lawyers and all these things, but they don't realize like how much time away from family that requires. Like her being on the Supreme Court, like that's wonderful, but there's not enough love for like construction workers and people who work like 9-to-5 jobs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like they're home for the kids with the homework and all that. Like
Your family,
Yeah.
everything, your friends might have been in Houston. Or just throwing one out there. Now you live in D.C. Now you live year round Washington, D.C.
Oh, yeah.
Whether you like it or not.
oh yeah, yeah.
Here's how they're related. Jackson's husband has a twin brother who's married to Ryan's sister-in-law. So
Okay.
that's a fun Thanksgiving.
They need to do like a 23andMe because that
Yes.
sounds like there's more going on there than.
She's replacing Justice Stephen Breyer, which I think still keeps things 6-3.
Is Ketanji a name
It
that
is a name.
we've heard before?
I coached a kid named Kenji.
I knew a
close.
Kenji, a guy, yeah.
Never heard of
Me either.
Ketanji before.
Yeah, Kenyatta.
She'd be pretty easy, and are they
The
black?
game?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
'Cause once we got the Ketanji part, Supreme Court.
Nowadays, you can't tell. People getting too fancy. Like what's Elon Musk? What did he name his XYZ?
AEX carried the 3 to the
Yeah,
power of
he's a
4.
apostrophe.
He's on some periodic table or
Right,
something.
with Grimes.
Yeah.
But now it's all about the dumb fucking names that white kids, that white people name their kids. I'm on this Facebook group because it's so funny. There's so many Axton, Braxton, Braylon, Kaylin, Jalen's.
Oh, really?
That was
my
all
God.
my jokes from the last with Bald Brian. Aiden,
Thank
Braden,
you.
Kate,
Yes.
Jaden, and Hayden.
But now like Axton, Braxton, Jackson, that's where we
Yeah.
are now.
I don't think it's generally a good idea to give your kid, too much of a highfalutin name, whatever color they are, because, like, you just name your boy Eric and your daughter Sue or Mary or something, and you're on your fucking own. Like you got to go earn it. No, you're not going to be this because of that. You'll never. There's a certain weird kind of satiation where you sort of feel like special because everyone's always going, oh, what kind of name is that? Or that's a very interesting name. Or if your name is Frank, you never get that. You want that praise. You got to go out and do something.
No, you're right.
Versus everyone, especially these days when all of a sudden adults want to be nice to kids, like, oh, that's such an, when I was a kid, adults weren't interested in impressing.
They weren't your friend.
They weren't your friend. They certainly didn't want to impress you or want praise from you or anything. You just need to get the fuck out of the way.
You know that one of Nick Cannon's children is named Powerful Queen.
Is that the first name?
Powerful, and I'm assuming maybe Queen's the middle name. There's Moroccan Monroe, Powerful Queen, Zion, Zen, Golden, and Zillionaire.
See, this is
Zillionaire.
Oh, that's not
you used to have to earn your name,
Right.
You used to have to earn things, and now it's like just given to you.
Yeah.
And these kids are walking around, but that also causes a lot of anxiety in
to
kids
live up
because
to?
you imagine at Starbucks, that's my real name.
Sure.
It really is Powerful Queen.
Yeah.
Write the whole thing down.
Well, you'd have to, if you're going to be Zillionaire and you frequent the Starbucks, you got to just, I know, like, the people I like the most, there's a guy who works in my other shop. He's Armenian. His name is Shan, and he just goes by Sean because it's easier for the ugly Americans to spit it out.
Zoe, that's my coffee.
Doesn't want to slow him down,
Yeah.
and I think you got to go that with the Zillionaire as
Powerful
well.
Queen.
Yeah, my mom named me actually Leonard. That's how you would say Leonard, right? And so when people call me Leonard or Leonard, she's like, that's not your name. You tell them it's Leonard. And I'm like, nobody's going to say that, Mom. I don't even want to say that.
Sell.
And I'm like, why would you do that? Why didn't you just name me Leo? Because like Leo runs in my family. Like my sister's Leolin, my aunt is Leona, my grandmother's Leolin. My dad is Leon. And then there's a Leander. Leo is very popular, which is actually popular in Russia. I didn't know.
Really?
Yeah, Leo is.
Leo Tolstoy.
Yeah, there you go.
You're like George Foreman over here. You name all the kids
George, 1, 2,
George
3.
and Georgina and everything
right.
like that.
Speaking of babies' names, Christy's brother, former show intern Chris, had a baby yesterday, and they named it a great throwback name, but not weird, Nolan.
Nolan. Like
I
Nolan
like
Ryan?
Nolan.
Like Nolan Ryan.
Solid.
I like that.
That's an underused
That's
name.
a strong name, right
There's
there.
there's a way to come up with a name that's a little bit unique, but not in your face and ostentatious and
Aggressive.
Ostentatious, not a bad name for
Ostentatious.
one of.
That's a great
Nick
name right
Cannon's,
there.
One of Nick Cannon's kids.
At the very
Next
least,
one.
at the very
Amazing.
least, a good drag
Should
queen.
probably have one now,
That's
right?
probably true. Yeah.
Yeah, and next to Magnanimous. Yep.
Oh my
This
God.
is excellent.
So remember a while back we talked about that, like those mystery deaths at the Sandals Resort.
Yes.
That like people just died and nobody
drinking
knew
the
it.
poison booze from
No,
the...
this was a different one.
Oh, I
this
thought
was
we
they
had
just
theorized it was the same
they
thing.
just up and died and nobody knew why. Well, I guess we know now. The 3 American tourists that were found dead at Sandals in Bahamas in early May died as a result of asphyxiation due to carbon monoxide poisoning.
Oh.
Fox News reports that it was a 68-year-old guy, Michael Phillips, 65-year-old Robbie Phillips, and 64-year-old Vincent Carolla. His wife is now out of the hospital. She's still alive. They were all found unresponsive on May 6th. The source of the carbon monoxide leaks remains unclear, but they are going overboard to get people to not be afraid to come. This is the statement. They said, despite initial speculation, Bahamian authorities have concluded that the cause was an isolated incident in one standalone structure that housed 2 individual guest rooms. There is no way this is linked to the air conditioning system, food, beverage, landscaping, foul play. And CO detectors have been placed in all the guest rooms, and they were big about like, we didn't have to do that. That's not a rule here in the Bahamas, but we're doing it. Like, it's fine. Come, please.
You people, when you get a smoke detector, make sure it has the CO2 or the CO whatever on there as well. They're I don't know. They're $24. They're like in a same unit now, and it's good because I think it was tennis star Vitas Gerulaitis. If I screw that name up,
Is he black?
Vitas Gerulaitis, tennis star. I think it was he. We'll figure it out. Chris will figure out if Vitas Gerulaitis, who was a champion tennis player, died of carbon monoxide poisoning. I've had carbon monoxide poisoning.
Why?
The VW squareback.
I fell asleep in the back of a weird custom van. Try to figure out my mom's boyfriend, Zorback. Black, white, had a VW, like with a screen door in the back, and it was, van from the 70s. And if you'd ever traveled in like a 70s station wagon and opened the hatch and driven a block, you'd smell. It would create like a vacuum and suck. I fell asleep and sucked up all the stuff, and it fucked me up royally. I'd probably be on the Supreme Court right now. But Vitas Garrylitis. Yeah.
So in 94, while visiting a friend's home in Southampton, New York, an improperly installed pool heater caused carbon monoxide gas to seep into the guest house where Garrylitis was sleeping, causing his death by carbon monoxide poisoning.
He must have been 39 or something. I mean, I may be playing that.
40.
40.
Yeah.
Way the fuck off.
I know.
He was a champion tennis player, and he was in good shape. And what happens with the carbon monoxide poisoning, it just, look at that. He's a beautiful man with the blonde hair. It makes you sleepy as shit. Yes. I mean, it makes you sleepy like when you're going under.
It's like Benadryl.
Start passing.
Right.
Yeah,
Indeed.
they start pumping in
Funny
the
gas.
carbon monoxide or what? Laughing gas.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
They start pumping that in, or the Jesus juice. Sure. I mean, you get sleepier than you've ever been.
Nitrous oxide.
Yes, you get sleepier than you've ever been, and then you just go to bed. And that is it.
Wow.
And I think that's why people used to kill themselves that way.
Isn't that like Sylvia Plath, like stuck her head in the oven? Or
I guess that's where that trope came from.
Yeah.
The gas oven. There's also, years ago, there was I think it was probably This American Life, or one of those spooky Halloween episodes. And one of them ended up being about this family that was always hearing voices and auditory hallucinations and then visual hallucinations, and they were all fucked up, and how these stories were so prevalent at that time. Didn't realize, of course, at the time it was carbon monoxide poisoning in their house.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, buddy.
Well, maybe we'll play with Leo. We're talking
boy.
about improvisation. You be the guy who owned the house where Vitas Garrylitis died of carbon monoxide poisoning, and I'll be the pool man.
All right, got it.
And start slow. I'll try to guess why you're calling. Hello?
Yeah, so...
Hey, Tim. Yeah, I recognize your voice.
What's up? What's up,
We got
Frank?
a problem with the skimmer?
Yeah, so I walk in, and there's a white guy. He's passed out.
Hey, I'm the pool man. I'm not in charge of house guests.
You're the pool guy.
Yeah, I'm the pool guy.
All right, so you grab the legs. I'm going to grab the arms.
I don't know what you're talking about. Do you need more diatomation? Brian, let's play this game.
I did.
All right, ready? Play the game. Not helping you move a body. Hello, Z-Best Pools.
Hey, is this Rick?
Yeah.
Hey, Rick, it's Tim. You installed the heater in my pool.
Oh, yeah,
up here in
man.
upstate New
Some
York.
of my best work.
I mean, sounded that may be true.
A lot of guys want to pull a permit. Not this guy.
Yeah, I'm not thinking it's worth.
I
the
saved you a ton of dough.
You did
ton
save
of dough.
$500.
I mean, what could be worth more?
Well, problem. I think you may have hooked it up wrong because I have a.
Hey, you know those little test tubes that I use where the thing turns a different color if there's too much chlorine? in it?
Yeah.
I can't find mine. Is that why you're calling?
Oh no, we have plenty.
Or is it something smaller than that?
It's actually
not as important as that.
I would say it's more important. I had a remember the guest house.
More important than the test tube kit?
Well, I feel like you can get those pretty cheap.
Well, yeah, but with the supply chain. I mean, it's like $19. Anyway, sorry.
I imagine any number of vessel will work for those. You know
let's not get mired. You want to skim?
Well,
you want more chemicals?
No, I don't want any of that. In fact, I'm regretting you installing the pool to begin. I'm getting ahead of myself. I had you remember the guest house next to the pool?
Yeah, I remember going in there. I used the bathroom.
Well,
Seemed like the safest place in the world to me.
You also ran the heating pipe through there, which, again, I questioned.
Well, that's why I saved you a ton of dough. Well, you wanted to go all the way around. You wanted to trench outside the house. I said, why not slide it right under the guest house?
You did point out that breaking up the patio is going to cost me an extra.
That's high down. We got to hire a guy with a wet saw. Anyway, you're welcome. Are we done here?
Far from it. I had a guest in the house, and I think there might have been, I don't know, some improper hookup of the...
Well, let's make this quick, because I got to install a bunch of pool heaters my own way. The Tim way.
Don't do that. Don't do it the Tim way.
I've already done 7 of them. And Bjorn Borg is coming to a very important client's home to stay in his guest room. Could you imagine the Bjorn Borg staying in one of my clients' guest houses? This is going to be awesome.
That's almost impossible
I'm
to believe.
going to get his autograph first thing tomorrow morning. First thing tomorrow. I'm going right to Bjorn's guest house. I'll tell him a little story about running that pipe, and then I'll get his autograph.
I know Bjorn has a first-round match tomorrow morning. Tell him he can sleep in.
Okay.
His opponent might not make it. Mm-hmm. Might not be there.
All right. And then because Leo's listening, Arthur Ashe is staying at another dear friend's house. And I'll get his autograph as well.
Oh, dear God.
All right. Are we good here?
I think we're okay.
All right.
I have some other calls to make.
All right, and scene. All right.
So go something like that.
I love that. You know what? It's funny because it is a reminder of like, you just got to live life because you don't know what's going to take you out. Everybody's like worried about all these global threats. I had an Uber driver fall asleep on me.
What?
I was on a 405. I was leaving the Improv.
Well, the good news is you're probably going 2 miles an hour.
Well, no, it was 10 o'clock at night.
Okay.
So we were at like full like 75 and unfortunately I'm in the front seat because there's an Uber pool and there's an old Mexican lady in the back. And then the road is turning, but the car isn't.
Wow.
And I look over and his head is against the glass. And I just like, I reach over. I've been in like.
Oh, you trumped him. You grabbed the wheel.
Yeah, I grabbed the wheel. I've been in like 12 car accidents as a kid. I used to drive around with this guy who was drunk all the time. And I always had to be alert. So I was just like, I just grabbed the steering wheel and I start, driving us around the bend. I nudge him to wake him up, and then he's like, and then he grabs the wheel too hard.
Oh,
and so then we start spinning around. We don't hit anything. We're good. He drives me home.
Holy shit.
And then Uber calls me the next day, and they're like, how much do you want? And I go, $5,000, and they go, done. And I got it like 2 days. And I'm kicking myself because I definitely could have
retired.
asked for,
They'd like you to keep this to a dull roller.
I'm going to do a rare reenactment where I play both Leo and the Uber driver. Hey, what is? Enjoy. Jump into Uber. Hey, it's so late. Wait, I picked you up in front of the Improv. Are you a comedian? Yes, I am. Let me tell you a joke. Sorry.
Yeah, so now when I
normally don't play both roles.
Yeah.
I feel like you would have been insulting, and Brian wouldn't have known where that one was going.
I wasn't on board.
I definitely get in Uber cars now with like some cocaine, some Red Bull. Like, I play the music loud. Like,
Group
I'm trying
Uber?
to.
I was going to say, Leo, things not going well?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I like to do Uber pools because it's a way of meeting people.
It is.
Like I'm just like I miss being in Chicago, being on trains and public transportation where you got to interact with people. It's so isolating in LA.
Yeah,
you know,
like the movie Crowd.
Well, how
it
does,
is.
Pardon me, but how does Uber Pool work?
Remember the Super Shuttle?
Yeah.
But a car.
Yeah, see, that's tough. So
I don't want to run other people's errands, so
Yeah,
I don't want to
Here's
get
the thing,
that
Adam,
house.
is like one, I've met a few women with
really?
the Uber pool. Yeah. I've
Don't
also
brag about
gotten some great. And actually, here's the thing: I get the best advice from my Uber drivers. My one Uber driver told me to buy Bitcoin when it was like $1,000. He's like, you got to buy it, you got to get it, and I was like, yeah, whatever. And then I saw it at like, 80,000. I was like, oh my God, I should have listened to my Uber driver. Another Uber driver gave me the best advice on relationships. I said, what's the key? He said, you have to travel and you have to set boundaries. He goes, without those two things, it could atrophy.
Wow.
So I get great advice. I love talking to my Uber drivers. I learn about the world.
Financial advice, the guy's getting $14 an hour and he's in his 50s. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, this was a young kid though. This kid was like in his 20s, and he had already put a lot of. I'm sure that kid is like flying private jets now. Yeah, because this was like when Bitcoin was 1,000, and then boom.
Wow.
I don't know what. I know it's dropped a lot.
It's
recently,
under $20,000 now,
but it's still. This guy came in on the basement floor.
He came
right?
in on a basement floor. So
really meeting ladies with the Uber pool. Huh?
Oh yeah. You get a little time. You get a little convo, a little where you going,
where they live?
what are you doing?
And what's the move? Do you ever like get out on the same stop they're on?
Sometimes you get out on the same stop. Sometimes they stay in the car with you to your stop. Sometimes you meet up later. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just, you know, it's like improv. You just kind of playing it by ear and going with the flow.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right, Gina, you play the Uber passenger.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry. Next story.
Let's talk a little OJ, which we haven't done in a while. He's been very vocal on Twitter. He likes to make sure his opinions are heard, and a lot of the time they're hard to disagree with.
Leo, one of your mom's boyfriends, OJ, innocent or guilty? That's going to help.
So he supports the LA County law enforcement. He took a stand on Wednesday for the LA County Sheriff's Department with a video ripping West Hollywood for voting to cut funding for the agency. That's the first ironic video I'm going to show you. There's also a second. Go ahead.
Hey, Twitter world, it's me, yours truly. Well, a lot of things was taking place yesterday. I see in Los Angeles, they voted to defund the Sheriff's Department. I think that's all wrong. You know, I spent a little time in one of our institutions, and trust me, we need police. We need the Sheriff's Department. I always said they should just redirect some of those funds to better training, and I've always said to expanding the IA, Internal Affairs of Police, who investigate the police. But defunding the police as a whole or the Sheriff's Department as a whole, no.
So he's for the police. He's also,
wise words,
in another twist of irony, TMZ points out that his murder trial defense team famously attacked the LAPD for allegedly contaminating evidence and being racist. He also weighed in on another hot button issue, which, again, it's comedy gold when you figure out who it's coming from.
Well, how does OJ look better coming out of jail?
That's a great question.
I mean, even Bill Cosby looked better.
Oh.
Like, I was like, what are they doing? How bad is the food? What's the routine?
Mark
in there?
Garagos, attorney Mark Garagos, said to me many times, like to some of his clients, like who are going in, like the white collar guys, they go, "You're going to come out 40 pounds lighter. You're never going to feel better." Like all the shrimp you're eating and all the boozing you're doing and everything, it's all going.
And it's the best therapy. My buddy was in prison, and he said that he told his cellmate everything. Like, he's like, you don't open up to anybody in your life the way you open up to your cellmate. And he goes, "I felt 1,000 pounds lighter."
In prison for tax fraud, or in prison for
driving that
a number of things. It was some white collar crime stuff. Yeah.
I don't think they use the term "open up." I think they may say purge or some other version of it, or share.
Sharing.
Yeah, dump. A lot of dumping.
I got to dump.
Yeah,
a lot of money. Yep.
So
angst.
here's OJ's other hot take.
I thought it was a horrible decision. I think
Roe
women should
versus Wade.
have the right to decide what happens with their bodies.
He's a champion of women, their bodies.
That women should decide what happens to their bodies.
Almost every single woman should have the right to decide.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, man.
He's getting his voice is getting a little more OJ-er, I should say.
Gravelly.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. Does a 25-year-old know OJ one way or the other right now?
Probably not, because at least, 10, 15 years on him, at least they'll go, "Oh, Nordberg from Naked Gun," but that's an old reference now.
That's an old reference.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's like The Rock. Like, a lot of people still may not know that he used to wrestle.
Right.
Right. Like, he's just a movie star.
He's
to
the
a lot of
Jumanji
people.
guy.
Yeah, he's a Jumanji guy.
All right, let's do one more, Gina.
You got it. Well, KFC has come up with another campaign that will disgust some of us and delight some of us. Now you can eat coleslaw and mashed potatoes and corn with your fingers, thanks to KFC's new finger sporks. There you go, tiny little sporks that fit on your fingers so that you feel like you're eating with your hands, because that's important. But you got to hurry. It's only available through the 12th.
We're kind of at the phase in society where these companies, they know who their audience is at this point. There's some of the dumbest people on the planet, all the fast food ones, and they're starting to get into this world where it's like, we're going to make a gordita, but we're going to make the shell out of Cheetos, and we're going to roll them in Crunch Berries.
Oh,
because
I'm sorry.
The dumbest people
But that sounds delicious, though. I mean,
I was going to say
some of the
this.
most evolved people on the planet, should I say?
I was going to save this for tomorrow. You know what the new Taco Bell item is?
I did see
What
some
is it?
sort of.
It's a tostada on a giant Cheez-It that's 16 times the size of a regular Cheez-It.
Right.
Let's do that.
So like what I'm realizing is they're almost like people who design cat toys going like, we could get this fluffy ball and hang it on a piece of elastic, and then we could attach it to the side of your counter, and your cat would keep, they don't really look at you. They're not making shit for people. It's a different species at this point. Like we will make
it's almost like that Snuggie. What was
the Snuggie?
The Snuggie, right? It was a Snuggie, right? Where you just slide. It was a blanket.
Yeah.
But you could put your arms through it.
Are you too lazy to keep your blanket up?
Yeah.
Introducing
we
the
now
Snuggie.
there's a whole segment of society that we're thinking of like we used to think of pets.
Yes.
And we're designing like food
Yes.
and entertainment and blankets and ponchos and stuff.
Well,
for
Shark
them.
Tank is to blame for all this.
Yes.
I mean, Shark Tank has people being like, how can I make the dumbest thing that can scale and then make $1 billion off of it? Because apparently that's what people are investing in.
And that
It's like
show's so
scalable,
great.
dumb stuff. And how was the EPA not protesting the finger spork? I mean, if there's anything that's going to cause a lot, like we got, how they got rid of they were trying to get rid of the little coffee to go cups. They were saying like that's environmentally.
Yes.
But now we're going to replace it with the finger
sporks.
spork. This is going to be a turtle.
More plastic, exactly. More plastic than a straw.
Just use your hands. And why can't we I hate utensils. To be honest.
KFC probably saw people using their hands for this. It was like, even that's fucking too disgusting for us.
Or
Take a finger
or some
spork.
lady with really long nails
Yes.
scooping mashed
God.
potatoes in with the.
This seems repugnant
Yes.
to me.
It absolutely
Well,
is.
remember when they just put everything in one bowl?
Yeah, and then at some point,
and then they had the chicken sandwiches instead of the bread. Mm-hmm. Those were the...
On the chicken breast.
these things are going to be outlawed because somebody's going to be eating their mashed potatoes, and then their eye's going to itch, and they're just going to reflexively reach up and tear the cornea off, and then some lawyer's going to get involved, and that'll
It's
be
going
that.
to be the jerk situation with Carl Reiner.
Yeah, the OcuGrab or
right.
whatever it was. Well,
I'll keep you posted on these lawsuits.
I did have I don't know why. Shark Tank. That's what reminded me of this. I can't remember if I was telling you guys this weird kismet, but I was sitting in a hotel room and I was just thinking, told you guys this, honey, too cheap. Too cheap.
Yeah.
For what you got to do to get that pint of honey, $3.99, it should be $2,800 for the amount of work that went into that amount of honey. And I was thinking of that, and I just literally turned the TV on, and it was Shark Tank, and it was a black family who made honey. And I remember, like, no one else gives a shit, but I was just looking at this pad where I just wrote, honey, what's up with honey? And I turned the TV on, and it was this all black family, the kids, the mother, the father, and they had this kind of honey thing. I don't know if you've heard of this.
First of all, I'm scared that you wrote down on a pad and then it was on your Are they watching us also? Was this an iPad that you wrote it on? Or
I was watching on a TV. I was in a hotel room, and it's a new... and they were pitching it to the Shark Tank. I've never seen anyone pitch.
I saw it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But you know what's interesting about honey and the reason why it's so cheap is a lot of the Asian companies are cutting it with I forget what they cut it with, but it's not
skimping on it.
They're skimping on it. So if you look on honey now, it can't say imported from Asia. It has to be from either America or South America. So what the Asian companies are doing now is shipping their honey to South America, repackaging it, and then sending it up.
And it's cut with corn syrup or fructose.
That's why it's so cheap. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why you got to go to the farmer's market,
That's
baby.
right.
They're
That's
putting
right.
it.
You want to find a $2,800 jar, you go to the farmer's market.
Everybody's a drug dealer.
That's right.
I know. And then people are putting it in their tea because they think it's a healthy alternative or whatever, and it's got corn syrup all throughout. Chris, what is that family? Black family sold honey. Sonny's my kid. Honey, that should narrow it down. And we're on Shark Tank. And you saw that one, right?
I did see it. Yeah. When I was in college, me and my buddy used to sell daiquiris at house parties. Everybody else was like selling alcohol out of kegs, and we realized that if we put water in the vodka bottles, we didn't have to buy vodka, and so then our profit margins
skyrocketed.
In the daiquiris, no one can taste the booze anyway.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Zach and Zoe, Sweet Bee Farm.
Ooh.
It's this whole family farm who makes honey. And I don't know what they were doing on Shark Tank, but I was too busy freaking out that I just wrote honey on a pad and then turned on the TV.
Or did you freak out because of honey or because it was a black family making honey? You're like, they're coming for the...
You want the real answer?
I want the real answer, Adam.
Hey, we should play that game. These guys, they're an intact family, and they're honey farmers. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, come on.
Oh, wrong sound effect.
Yeah, forget it.
Yeah, no, I normally have racist thoughts, but in this particular case, it was really about the honey. I was just like, I wrote honey on a pad and then turned the TV on, and these people were selling honey. I've never seen a family sell honey. I thought Shark Tanks were all like inventions and stuff. I didn't know it was selling honey.
Yeah,
and
pretty good.
Are you jealous a little bit? Are you mad that you didn't think of this? Did you have a little...
To sell honey?
Yeah. Were you like, I thought of that 50.
Honey's my invention. First the
Not the
bears,
Egyptians.
now the black bears. Yeah, no, I had no regrets. I don't live in the past. But I just thought I immediately filed it under, this is one of these stories where I'm going to tell people and they're going to go, there you go. And I'm going to, don't you understand? I'd written honey and underlined it and turned the TV on, and everyone's going to go, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's progress too, right?
Yeah, for sure.
A black
Are they going to give me their own version of it? Like one time I was thinking about my friend, the phone rang, and guess who was on the other line? Steve, the guy I was thinking about. Like, okay.
We're there. We're close. We're there.
The kids had bad allergies, and they used raw, unfiltered honey to alleviate their son's health challenges.
Interesting.
That works?
I heard
Yuri's Gold, Yuki's Gold. Yuli's Gold. There's a
Peter
movie.
Fonda?
I think
something like that.
If you gave the Zach and Zoe family a million guesses, they never would have guessed who gave them a plug today.
Yeah.
That's a good
Interesting.
5-minute commercial.
All right, let's bring it home, Gina Grad.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Gina Grad.
That was the news with Gina Grad.
All right, first a couple of words from Hyundai. All right, Springfield, Missouri, Blue Room Comedy Club, July 15th and 16th. I'll be doing stand-up there. We'll do live pods there. So you can go to adamcarolla.com for all the live pods and all the shows and the pre-order the book and all that good stuff. The Triple Door in Seattle, Washington. That'll be on the 29th. That's Leo's gig. And then Mic Drop Comedy in San Diego. That'll be August 11th. And, of course, Before You Kill Yourself is the name of the podcast. Instagram at Leo Flowers 2000. And, of course, Danny Trejo and Charlie Clark and Gina Grad and Bald Brian and Adam Carolla saying mahalo.
I'm going to walk around a block, give her like some boundaries, and then she doesn't feel this trigger and say, when I go for a walk, is just to calm down. I'm not leaving you. You know,
and you probably don't leave any homework assignments. Like, I'm going to go for a walk. Figure out, you go find a fucking mirror and figure out what the fuck is staring back at you, okay? I'm going to go for a walk.